Hello and welcome to Channel's Book Club. I am Olakunle Kasumo. Our two guest writers today have links with northern Nigeria. The first, David Obasa, was born in Zaria, Kaduna State in northern Nigeria and has lived most of his life in that region. He has worked as a journalist, dramatist, and banker. He has a master's degree in international affairs and strategic studies and is the author of this novel titled The Square Pegs. The novel has been described by reviewers as one with fascinating characters, intriguing plots, and important underlying themes. David joins us to discuss his book and love for literature. Enjoy our chat. David, nice to have you on Channel's Book Club.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much.
The Square Pegs. Well, let's start with your story. Looks like you've been a lover of literature for many years.
Yes,
and then
true.
You've turned into a lover of literature, into a creator of literature. Tell me a bit of that story.
Well, let me say that while growing up as a kid, kids, they will give you money. Maybe visitors will come, give you a coin or two. And we used to have these savings box then, kolo, as we used to call it then. You slot in the coin, and after the coin box is full, you break open the coin box, and then during holidays, you go and buy things with it, while other kids will go and buy clothes or shoes or some other fun things. I'll just use mine to buy books. So I had been a lover of books since my primary school days, and it grew. When I was in secondary school, the library was a fun place for me, and not because I wanted to read textbooks, just storybooks, not textbooks, storybooks. I wasn't so much a lover of textbooks. In fact, I used to say that I earned my degree on my bed. Because when others would go to read in the classrooms or in the library or another, I would just read on my bed, But when it comes to maybe reading stories, that's what would take me to the library. Not because I needed the quietness, but because I needed the books.
The environment.
The books.
You needed the books.
And the books are in the library. So if I don't have the books, or I can't afford the books, I would go to the library and read the books. But thank God now I can afford books, so I buy books and read.
Interesting. So, like they say, morning shows the day.
Yes.
For a lot of writers I've met, the story is very similar. Right from childhood, there's that love, that interest in literature. Some of them didn't know they would write early. They just woke up one day and just started writing. But some others knew they would write very early. But almost every writer I've spoken to loved to read as a kid.
That's true.
So your story is in sync with that.
Thank you very much.
Interesting. The Square Pegs. Okay, there are a lot of people out there who are not very familiar with this very interesting story. Novel, I have to say. Let's do a brief run through the book. For somebody out there who doesn't know about the Square Pegs, what's the preview?
Okay, The Square Pegs is a story that has 3 parts. You could call it a story, but it's actually having 3 parts. The first part is it talks about the background of the 3 main characters. The first one, Tombra, from the Niger Delta background, and the second one, Felix, that grew up in Benin, and the third one, Olu, that grew up in Lagos. And these young men they just independently grew. They had different stories. One had a story of growing up on his own, no parents, just someone that acquired street wisdom. And there was another one that grew up in the village, in a remote animist village, fascinated by the things around him. And then there was another one that had a privileged background, grew up in Lagos, good parents working well, earning good money. So now that was the first part. Then the second part of the book shows what I call the Island University, Imaginary Island University in Lekki, Lagos. That university was where the three of them met. Now, they didn't, it wasn't as if they met one-on-one like that, but somehow they came across one another in that part two of the story. So the part two just showed them coming together, and then the third part now led us to the third part of the book, which is life after university. Now, life after university is the big reality. You know, when you are in school, you have this thinking that, oh, the world revolves around you, you are the big university man. When you come out, you get the big job, you call the shots, you earn the millions, you are the big person, you know. But in this case,
reality strikes.
they just woke up and found out that, ooh, life is not as smooth as they thought. You know, some of them, of course, one of the characters actually went to school to study a course his parents wanted him to read. He wasn't quite interested in studying that course, but he did it for his parents, and he wanted to work to satisfy himself. But he now realized that it was like in a trap. The world was seeing him through the eye of his course of study. Meanwhile, he was seeing himself.
He wanted something else.
He wanted something else. And he was getting frustrated because he felt life wasn't giving him what he thought he deserved. And so there were cases, you know, one of them committed suicide, you know, because he was frustrated. The military came and confiscated his things, and a lot of things happened to them, and they've discovered that, look, really, life is not a bed of roses. And even if it is, roses do have thorns.
Let's not tell them everything. I think that